Good morning, fellow Malaysians. This is Matthias Chang from Future Fast Forward. Some weeks ago, I gave an address telling all of you that we must focus on the future of Malaysia and not on any one particular party or individual, to the extent that our whole country will have to focus on one person and one person only. And that we must have to focus on what is important for our country. The narrative can never be focused on one person or one party. I thought that the unraveling of that narrative would take place maybe in July or August, following the first anniversary of the Pakatan Harapan government. But I was rather shocked, but not surprised, at the pace in which the unraveling of the Pakatan Harapan parties have taken place in the last few days. Not so much on the appointment of the head of MACC, Latifah Koya, but the surrounding circumstances subsequent to the appointment and the events of the last 2 days. Let me cut to the chase. The issue I'm telling you out to all of you, fellow Malaysians, is very simple. PKR and the leaders of PKR are self-destructing. The entire edifice of the political structure of PKR will soon be heading to doom, destruction, if not damnation. Because I think people have short memories as to what are the political equation that will give rise to the country coming together with stability, and how it will unravel and create chaos. I said that the first year of the Pakatan Harapan government was a waste of time. We wasted 1 year. And that given the circumstances, Tun Mahathir would need more than 1 or 2 years to salvage our country from the financial rape, plunder by the criminal kleptocrat Najib Razak and his regime. Now, before I go to the meat of it, let me recall and remind all of you how critical are certain communities, their votes, and their pattern of voting. And this relates very directly to the role of Anwar Ibrahim, the then party he led, Pakatan Parti Keadilan, and now PKR. You will note that following the extreme disruption between Tun Mahathir and Anwar as his then Deputy Prime Minister, the country went through turmoil, compounded by the ASEAN financial crisis of 1997-98. But more importantly, given that background, the turmoil, the instability, and the country almost torn to pieces politically, and on the verge of bankruptcy, financially and economically, the 1999 election was a watershed. The coming to maturity of Malaysia as a nation, if I may say so, to the extent. Why? The Malay community was split asunder, torn apart, and yet, Tun Mahathir led the Barisan Nasional to victory with 2/3 majority. Bear that in mind. At the height of the most disruptive fracture of the political structure of our country, Tun Mahathir led the country to victory with 2/3 majority. And mind you, the Chinese community delivered the votes to Tun Mahathir and BN. to secure the two-thirds majority. Then, upon his retirement, Pak La with the euphoria led to a landslide victory. But it was short-lived because Pak La betrayed the agenda which our whole entire country rallied behind, Vision 2020, the architect which was Tun Mahathir. Soon after his victory, Pak La abandoned, in fact, slaughtered, cut to pieces many of the policies of the past government, and in particular, Vision 2020. Now, at that particular time, leading to the election 2008, Anwar led the coalition. What happened? Before 2008 election, there was another rupture within BN and UMNO because Pak La betrayed Tun Mahathir and his legacies. It's pivotal to note, before 2008 election, Anwar was leading opposition. But the critical factor was Tun Mahathir taking on Pak La within UMNO and within the BN structure. And what happened? Despite the incumbency, the power, the resources, and by a strategy, BN lost 2/3 and 5 states, and then that led to the resignation of Pak La as Prime Minister in 2009, and succeeded by Najib. There was a period of calmness, and in 2013 election, Mahathir was still with Najib in the hope that he will reform and remain relevant to the future of our country. Because then it will be only about less than 15 years to the fulfillment of 2020. In 2013, again, Anwar led the coalition, the opposition coalition, and did not make any headway to unseat Najib Razak. Buoyed with the confidence and the misplaced confidence that he had the country behind him, Najib became insolent, ambitious, and power-hungry. There was another rupture within UMNO and BN. And though at this time, Anwar was already in jail for the second time. So, coming for the 13th election, all right, again, it was Tun taking on Najib in the same like manner as he took on Pak La. Anwar could not do anything. Neither could Pakatan Harapan. And what we saw? The total defeat of Najib, his kleptocracy, and the bankrupt government of the Barisan Nasional. It's very critical. These are the events. So what is the deciding factor in victory or defeat for the opposition? The Mahathir factor. And yet, despite this trend, and despite given the victory in May 2018, the parties that formed the present coalition took things better into their own hands and forgot history. You see, if you recall throughout history, the DAP and all opposition parties never ever imagined they could be in government. In fact, if I may say so bluntly, in so as DP is concerned, it was a useful voice and critic for the government. And MCA was a useful voice in government to protect Chinese interests, and wherever there are problems, DP was the barking dog. There was a role. Likewise, UMNO surrendered the role of Islam to PAS. Both PAS and DP historically, it may find it hard to believe, were actually the barking dogs to ensure that UMNO adhered to certain Islamic principles via the barking of PAS, and MC would adhere to certain so-called red lines that affect the Science Committee by the barking of DAP. That's all. And they accept that role with no illusions that they will not be in power. Fast forward to the last election, they openly said they did not expect to win. Even though there was a coalition, a compromise, to let Tun Mahathir lead the coalition. But they didn't expect to win. That was the problem. And I said so in my speech previously. I exposed the plot, how they prevented Tun Mahathir to be sworn in. From the get-go, the fear that they will be controlled by Tun Mahathir, the entire opposition groups. And they never stopped conniving, scheming, and pretending. Then, in the last 1 year, the cabinet, who has worked under Tun Mahathir, begin to realize that 95% of the propaganda against Tun were pure propaganda. And they realize that it's easier to throw stones in Parliament, outside, than really be in government, working like a dog to ensure the policies are being implemented for the good of the country. They were raw, inexperienced. But for the whip and the leadership of Tun Mahathir would have been really in a mess. That's the reality. And Tun grade them as 5 out of 10. Okay? So we hope, and we thought, after the anniversary, the first anniversary, everyone will put up the socks and double the speed to catch up. All the leaders of all the parties of the coalition in the government have a responsibility to ensure that their representative government live up to expectations, be it Chang of DAP, Anwar of PKR, and what have you. Alright? It was not easy to bring them together. This barely survived. And they were diverted by one stupid, infantile narrative that PM in waiting must take over the prime ministership. We have this mouthpiece running about, diverting the attention. Yet with all the exposures, they have not learned. That's why I took a lot of time to maintain the pressure on the government so that they be on their toes. And I want to be so overconfident to be complacent. It fell on deaf ears. And now we see phase 2 of another attempt to isolate Bersatu in general and Tun Mahathir in particular. Because many people are now too impatient to take over power. Even when it's shown in the first year that none of the members of the cabinet are in position to manage our country effectively without a strong leader, and emphasize strong leader. Now, some people say that as a result of the appointment by the Prime Minister of Latifah Kufa as the head of MCC, there were a lot of noise. And one lawyer commentator says, right, this is good. It represents some kind of freedom to speak out. Bullshit, horseshit. Because that person doesn't understand politics, okay? These are false facade of democracy, airing of infantile, immature views, mouthpiece for some other people vying for power. What should be the focus? Get things done. Get people in place who have the balls and guts to get this done. And yet, we have this idiot of a man, William Leong, chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee, mouthing nonsense. Right? And they say, we are against political appointments. Meaning, the word political appointments meaning that we can't appoint anybody from a party in government to hold any positions. As if, the assumption, right, if you appoint some other people who's not a member of a political party, they will be neutral. Up yours, William. Up yours, the leaders of Pakatan Harapan. Don't talk rubbish, don't talk cock. Anyone, even you appoint outside the political party, will be a political appointment. Because the person who appoints them will be the Prime Minister. Alright? Don't confuse the issue of political appointment, okay? And you think whoever you people want to appoint will be neutral, not biased towards Pakatan Harapan? Don't be stupid, don't pretend, okay? Everyone serves a purpose when appointed to this position, to serve the ruling party, whether you like it or not. Don't be a hypocrite. Let's not forget, right? We are a British copycat parliamentary system. Way before, for ages, for 100 years, the ruling party, the Prime Minister, appoints whoever he wants to head some positions in government and outside government. Every Prime Minister appoints the Lord Chancellor, the head of the judiciary. And he's a cabinet position. Okay? When there's a change of government, the Lord Chancellor resigns and steps down. Likewise, the Attorney General. Be it the UK or America, asshole, every appointment of Attorney General, even the Chief Justice and the judges of the Supreme Court is appointed by the government, by the President of the USA. They may go before the Senate for confirmation hearings. The Senate don't select or appoint those positions. It's the President. Have you ever, you assholes in Pakatan Harapan, DP, PKR, what have you, ever say that it's wrong for President of the United States of America, be it Obama, Clinton, Hillary, or what, or Trump, to appoint the AG, the judges of the Supreme Court? Have you said they will be biased? That would make the whole structure corrupt, abusive. Wake up to reality. That is what it means by, right? The separation of powers. The executive power remains with the President or the Prime Minister. Parliament's main role as a check and balance is on law, legislative. You cannot assume executive power by separating behind indirectly the Constitution. If the executive abuse, you pass laws to curtail the abuse, but you don't arrogate yourself the power to appoint or influence the appointment. Read the history of select committees, both in UK Parliament and the American Congress. Then you wrote the reality, okay? So stop the nonsense. Huh? I challenge you, William Leong, to any debate, okay, anywhere, anytime, the role of select committees in Parliament, okay? At most, if at all, there is one, as in US or UK, all right? It's a review process. No binding effect. They make recommendations. So let's pause for a while. William Leong, if you're against Latifah to be the head of MACC, Who have you in mind? Who have you in mind? Which asshole who are not member of the party have you in mind? Have the ability, the experience? Tell me. Don't keep quiet, right? As if you, a lawyer, that's all you are, have all the experience and expertise to decide who is the best person to head MACC. Where were you and your mouth and your barking mouth when the chairman of the Election Commission, Art Harun, was appointed? Do you expect an UMNO or someone outside the party of Barisan Nasional who are pro-BN to be appointed as chairman of EAC? Must be one of your people, right? Chairman of the Election Commission. IGP, Inspector of Police. Who do you expect to be appointed? Must be someone, right, while upon the law, have to subscribe to the policies of the incoming government, of the present government, right? Otherwise it won't work, is it? The Speaker of Parliament, ex-judge, was at one time close to pass, no? Did he make any noise? The Chief Justice, did he make any noise? So what I'm trying to say is this, right? William Leong, before you utter your mouth and add yourself powers you don't have, be humble, okay? Pipe down. Do more work in Parliament. The real work, all right? Do some research and some studies and give the data, factual, raw data to the government as to what is needed to improve Parliament. Not your whims and fancies like your intellectual masturbation. Stop it. Stop it, please. Okay? So, if you don't do that, you members of PKR who insist on pounding the narrative, Anwar must be the Prime Minister as soon as possible. Okay? Then I ask you a question. Normally, the DPM becomes the Prime Minister. That's history of our country, right? History of our country. By convention. So now, who's the DPM? One is Zazir, as I said in my previous video. Right? Why have you not demanded from one Azizah, who was one time your president, to resign? Why? Do you expect Tun Mahathir to sack her? No basis it. Why should Tun Mahathir sack one Azizah as Deputy Prime Minister, which has done nothing wrong in the role of DPM? And she's the wife, of the PM in waiting, the mother of Nurul, who gets what she wants. But you don't have the balls and the guts, you PKR members, or whoever in the other parties of the Pakatan Harapan, to say, to demand what is just step down. Why not? You see, this is where your problem is, you see. Your hypocrisy, your dishonesty. And you want to further wreck the country and divert the country's attention from real work after wasting 1 year to still keep alive this narrative. And now, right, in the quest of power, you will even destroy what is left in PKR. The filthy power struggle. Let me warn PKR, DAP. I'm not worried about Amara or Bersatu. Right now, you're watching a very ugly, filthy power struggle. You think that's ugly? Wait till you see what happens if and when you have absolute control of the government when Tun steps down. The power struggle will be more filthy, more ugly, and more intense. I can assure you, you have no time to focus on the country, and you'll be outed by the next election. Don't be too confident. The UMNO, MCA, Gerakan, all the parties will collapse. Najib is finished. They are at rock bottom. behind the parties. The only way out is up. Okay? And people have short memories. Alright? If you won the 20th election, alright, by having only 30% of the Malay votes, how sure are you, even if you retain 30% of the Malay votes, that the non-Malay votes of Indian and Chinese will be with you, DAP or PKR? Let me assure you one last time. The people did not vote for Pakatan Harapan because they love Pakatan Harapan or they have absolute faith that Pakatan Harapan will be a better government than Pakatan Nasional. They did so because they hated the bloody guts, the filth of Najib and kleptocrats. That's all. They're not stupid. The electorates. They have no experience, 60 years. Virgins, loud mouth, throw stones, but zilch on experience in governing. You're damn lucky today, right, that Tun continue with you. Yes, I have my differences with Tun, I've said many times. It was nothing personal. He's still tolerant all of you 5 out of 10. You don't even have the meritocracy to remain. None of you, as far as I know, I may say to be corrected, right, even offered to resign and step down. Because you only obtained 5 out of 10. This is a stark reality that country is facing. Alright? Therefore, given this scenario, this circumstance, right, I have no hesitation to tell Tun Mahathir, as a citizen and a former volunteer to work for him, you got to be strong and determined and trade no more nonsense. You can't have, right, governing a country on consensus basis. Every decision, every policy must have consensus. Absolute rubbish. No country do that. In England, Australia, America, no country does that. The Prime Minister leads, the cabinet follow. Yes, you can debate in Parliament, in cabinet. But who is ultimately responsible for the policy of a country is the Prime Minister, for heaven's sake. You may have the portfolio, education, agriculture, right, multimedia, trade. Each of you in each ministry, each portfolio must jive with the overall policy presented by the Prime Minister. Period. If you can't take the heat, you disagree, piss off, step down. That is the convention in cabinet responsibility, right? If you can't take it, step out, Christmas outside. Otherwise, if you hold a minority view, you accept the collective responsibility, and whatever decision is made by the majority, you are bound by it. Even though you may be a minority offering dissent, you are bound by it. If you do not want to be bound by the majority decision, you step out. So if there's any collapse, you say, yes, I did my duty, I protested, I dissented, I stepped out. So I cannot be responsible for the mistakes and chaos of the government. But you don't have the balls, you people. You want the cake and eat it. You can't. And then, of course, when one leader says, right, Tun Mahathir is right. He followed the law, the constitution, in appointed Latifah. But it's politically wrong. My God, what rubbish is that? You want the cake, eat it? You're right by law, but politically wrong. How can you be wrong when you follow the law and you say uphold the law, keadilan, justice? You see, that person used the word politically wrong. He didn't use the word, right, carelessly, deliberately, because he wants to avoid by being labeled politically incorrect. Google and find out. Those who are politically incorrect or wrong as per the speaker means they are willing to do things, say the truth, and piss all you off because what he says is the truth. What he's going to do is for the truth. And you can't accept it, see. And then you know the term, right? Politically correct. A term masterminded by the liberals, right, in England and America. It means that, right? Don't you say anything that will upset us. We, the establishment, that has interest. Then you are politically correct. The word politically correct is actually a derogatory term, you know. It means, right, you have no balls to speak out because you fear retribution backlash from those powers that be. And for those powers that be, right, politically correct means like, lick my ass. Lick my ass. And in terms of party politics, if I go to you, politically correct, as defined, means not following the party line of whichever party you belong to or try to impress in power. See? Politically correct, incorrect means, right, you're against the party line. So when that speaker says, right, dude is politically wrong, he's saying what? Dude, what you're doing, although legally right and upholding the constitution, is against our party line. Hey, Pakatan Harapan is a coalition. It's led by the chairman of the coalition, the leader. He sets the policy. It will be discussed. It's supposed to help be in power. You don't understand how coalition works in power when in power. You can have all your meetings, right, when you're opposition. Right? It's one thing, you know. Blah, 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 throwing stones. It's another thing, right? To learn how to follow leadership and put the country in order. Alright? And anniversary, all you're saying, yes, we must improve, must do more. Then shut up, focus on the real issues facing the country, repair the damage, and take off. Right now, we are barely floating. Our nose and mouth is under the water except our eyes, and soon a little bit of pat, you get drowned. And yet, you have time to quarrel and argue about appointment of head of MACC. And rumors abound as to why the former head retired. Then you tell the whole story to the whole country. And you all have maligned, defamed the former head with your speculations. And you parade like a freaking peacock and get yourself, right, power and status which you don't have, which you have not earned. You may earn some kudos as opposition, throwing stones, easy. But yet to earn respect and command the loyalty as a government. To end my short discussion today, let me say to all of you, seldom, no one is perfect, no one is right. But so far, I have been quite correct in my forecast and my analysis. Pakatan Harapan as a government as a whole, but specifically PKR, is down very fast on slippery road. Is on self-destruction mode, I guarantee you. I guarantee you. PKR is on self-destruction mode. If the other parties, actually DAP, you think that the Chinese community are all behind you, right? You are wrong. The Chinese voters are very pragmatic. Otherwise, how do you count? Way back 87, when two Team A, Team B, alright, split. The voters, right, brought back to Mahathir, who seemed to be the ultra. 1999, another split, major split. Again, the Chinese voters voted BN, led by Tun Mahathir. In 2008, Pakla pissed around. But the Chinese voted for BN because they were pissed off with Pakla. But maintained BN in government. Okay? In 2013, Okay? When Najib had not exposed his true colors, the Chinese voted for BN in the hope he'll be a better person. But when he turned sour and filth, what happens? Thrown out in 2018. Totally. Because the whole bloody place was corrupt and filth, a cesspool of filth. Alright? And soon, if you don't reform in the real sense of the word, as opposed to, right, reformasi, that kind of sing song, right, you will also collapse. And then, may God have mercy on all of you. In within the first few months, the euphoria was there. You won a few by-elections, and then you turn your ugly self, right, and expose yourself to all who see. That's where they said, right, enough. They give you a sign on the ceiling, change or we will even vote for the dog, the idiot, the criminal. Still don't listen, You still don't listen? Take today, 12 June 2019 at 5:11. I have now warned you and say so on the record. PKR is on self-destruction mode. It will collapse. And you will not succeed, I'm telling you, in isolating or undermining or any attempt against Mahathir. I'm guaranteeing you. No matter how weak it's Bersatu, because the people will not take for it, will not allow it. So, eat humble pie, learn, and reform. And what I conclude by saying once again, all these things are man-made filth, maneuvering. But if we, all of us, surrender unconditionally to the will of Allah, have absolute faith that He will defend, protect, and guide us under all circumstances, because we must uphold the absolute truth and justice, we will prevail. I guarantee you this. Have I not said so last few years? When everybody was negative, threatened by the power of Najib, there was not one moment when I stood before this camera and speak to you that I wavered in any way. I maintained my faith, my determination, because there's one man or one person up there who is guiding us. I never shaken in my faith in that concept, that principle. So with that principle in mind, my fellow Malaysians, hold true to your faith, all right? Have absolute faith, and we will overcome even all this rubbish we see now, the last few weeks, last few days, and the past 1 week. The total destruction of PKR. That doesn't mean the end of Malaysia. I can guarantee you that. You'll be surprised how things, right, is destroyed and can be rebuilt if we have the right people. But right now, I can tell you, all right, we don't have the right people. They're quarrelsome, plotting, right, conspiring for power. And for UMNO and BN parties, don't be too happy. If you don't reform BN, I can show you, there'll be another force that emerge and put in place a better government. With God's blessing, we can do that. With that, I thank you for your attention, and God bless you all, and you have a good day. Thank you.